Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get started, so please take a seat. Thank you. My name is Dave Mayer, and I'm the mayor of Gloucester Township here, and I want to welcome you to our community. It's a growing community, and we're so glad that you're here in our town today. You know, it was March 16th, 2000, when we shut down the municipal hall. And many other things were shutting down. This building was under construction at that time, and I thought to myself, oh no, they're never going to open because of the COVID crisis. And to the credit of the Dave & Buster's team, they opened, and they opened during the pandemic. So we're really happy to have this facility here in Gloucester Township, and it complements our outlets across the street. So if you have time afterwards, we welcome you to spend your money in Gloucester Township. I'm here to welcome you, but also to just talk to you a little bit about the history that Gloucester Township has with Ben, Parvey, and Blue Sky. It's been about 12 years ago when I was elected mayor. I can't believe it's 12 then, but the time flies when you're having fun, I guess. I came into office and I looked at our town budget. And in New Jersey, under municipal law, there are certain things that you can control from a financial perspective, a cost perspective, and there's some things that you can't because the state just says this is what it is. And so I looked at our budget and I looked at the items that we can do something about to save some money. Certainly, our utility costs was one of those items I looked at. And I went to Ben and I said, I want to create an energy master plan for the town. I don't want to do this in bits and pieces. I want to look at it holistically so that we have a concrete plan, and then we'll figure out how to implement it. Now, I don't know anything about solar. I don't really know anything about energy efficiency, although I tell my children to turn out the lights if they're not using it. But Ben does, and Blue Sky Power certainly does. And so the team put together, and I had the binder on my desk, or behind my desk at the municipal hall, put together a very comprehensive plan that looked at everything. It looked at our traffic lights, it looked at our street lights, it looked at our fleet of diesel vehicles and the conversion to electric vehicles and charging stations. It looked at energy efficiency upgrades, not just for us, but for our schools as well. And certainly it looked at solar energy. And so what we did, and we still to this day we meet every other week. I have an energy committee meeting. Certainly Blue Sky is leading that effort. And we meet and we talk about how we're going to implement the next phase of our energy master plan. And to this day, I will tell you, the figures better than I, Ben. What's for solar? What's the measurement?
Yeah, so we've done about 14 megawatts of solar, including 7 megawatts across 12 different municipal and school district sites and 2 different landfill wholesale solar projects. So, well, energy efficiency across.
Yeah, so all implemented by Blue Sky, and and the team there. The solar projects, we have the largest shared services solar project in the state of New Jersey with our 2 school districts. You can see one of our high schools, Timber Creek, from space. We have so many solar panels there, which is fantastic. And as Ben was saying, we've done one Brownsfield solar project, and really soon at the end of this month, we're going to hold a ribbon cutting, if you will, for a project that we've been working on for a couple years now at the GEMS landfill. The GEMS landfill was once one of the worst polluted sites in America. Now, believe me, it's no GEM, because that's just an acronym for this thing. It was a municipally owned trash dump back years ago. And during the, I guess it was the 80s or 70s, then Congressman Jim Florio introduced Superfund legislation to clean up that site and other sites throughout the country. And today, we're able to take that land that is useless and actually turn it into land that is producing clean, reliable, renewable energy. It's a fascinating story, and we're really really excited about that. But whether it's our electric car fleet and our expansion of our charging stations, which we're planning now, we work with Blue Sky to do that. As I mentioned, I had no clue what I was doing in that regard. So you bring in the experts, and I'm really proud to say what we've accomplished in Gloucester Township, but it's really because of the leadership of Ben and his team. And Ben, I thank you for that. We have more work to do. You know, I'm going to keep you busy, but I know you're going to hear a lot today with Ben and his team, and just say again, thank you for what you've done for our town. Thank you. Chad, I think you're up.
Hey, everybody. My name is Chad Hagan. I'm the marketing director on Team OhmGrid. Let me start off by saying that this is going to sound like an award acceptance speech. It's not. Not to get ahead of ourselves. We're just really passionate about OhmGrid, and we have a lot of people to thank. First and foremost, thank you to everybody who's joining us today. It really does mean the world to us that you're here celebrating the launch of OhmGrid with us. Both you who are here in person and on the live stream, live stream. Secondly, and most importantly, I want to thank and shout out our incredible OhmGrid team. Your positivity, passion, creativity, and exeltrans funcitude will change the world. Yeah, that's super dramatic to say, like, it'll change the world, but genuinely, when you get smart people together, you bring them together in an environment that fosters creativity and innovation, you create things that are more than products and more than services. From setting new service standards to making power outages a thing of the past, OhmGrid is made to move the world forward. And in order to move the world forward, you have to have a world to move forward. So yeah, I'm talking about that little thing that we like to call climate change. You've probably heard of it. OhmGrid obviously is built for this purpose. We truly believe that OhmGrid is a core key component in reversing the effects of climate change. According to the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, 20%, over 20% of the US overall greenhouse gas emissions can be directly attributed to electricity for powering people's homes. To put that into perspective, the average home before OhmGrid would produce, just by getting its power, about 13,000 pounds of carbon emissions every year. That's the weight of a full-grown African elephant. Now, after OhmGrid, that number becomes virtually zero. And to put that into further perspective, every 1,000 OhmGrid installations that we complete will be preventing the generation of 13 million pounds of carbon emissions every year. That's a lot of elephants. It's actually 29 747 jumbo jets. And we know that fighting climate change and reversing its effects is an uphill battle. It's not something that we have time for. Time is not on our side for this. So we decided to push it one step further and said, how can we really stick it to climate change? Well, today we're really happy and excited to let everybody know that our sustainability initiative has evolved thanks to our partnership with One Tree Planet, a global organization who's planting trees where they're needed. Thanks to this partnership, every OhmGrid customer, just by paying their monthly bill, will be planting trees around the world to combat deforestation, to improve soil health, for carbon capture, and promote ecosystem renewal. So just by paying their monthly bill, over time, each and every OhmGrid customer will plant hundreds of trees, cultivating a forest of their very own, which they'll be able to view on their OhmGrid dashboard at any time. That's enough for me. Thank you again so much to everybody who's here in person, joining us on stream, by stream again. We hope you enjoy the rest of this event. We really had fun putting it together. And with that, I'd like to introduce our next guest, the head of the Green Build program at Youth Build Billing, the incredible George Jenkins.
Hi, how's everyone doing today?
Great.
Hope I can live up to that, Chad. Incredible, I don't know, but we'll try. Yes, so my name is George Jenkins. As Chad mentioned, I am the Green Build Coordinator of Youth Build Philadelphia. What we do is I have a Green Build program, and I'm personally responsible for 35 young students actually on the move to get their high school diploma. So in our program, we actually do LEED, we do passive housing, where the students do about 70% of the actual work. And I am proud, I see. All right, I am proud to say today that I was able to connect with Ben to help us move forward in our journey. So I met Ben at Philadelphia Chamber of Commerce meeting. And I was on the move just to go out and hear people talk because we are building a carbon neutral building in Philadelphia, a brand new LEED certified building for our students. And I was just looking to try and kick the ball around and do some things, really didn't know. But upon meeting Ben and hearing all of the great things that he had to say and how passionate he was about moving forward in solar, I just knew this was the guy and the company that I wanted to connect to. So that was about 3 years ago, Ben, I think maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And it's really amazing, I must say, because you know how you meet somebody and you meet a friend and you realize, where have you been all my life? It's like the way Ben and his team actually comes and connects to our students is really amazing. I think they've been to at least 5 or 10 of our events. They've helped donating to our students and our program, not only helping us develop the energy package at our school. And let me tell you why this is so important, because the young people that we're educating, Chad, when you were talking about climate change, the reason that that's important is because my young people take all the information that they learn and they take it back to their communities, where a lot of times people don't have the time to think about climate change because they're used to going to their daily work lives. They're used to paying the bills or trying to support themselves to make their own families move forward. And by our students going back and to be able to relate to them about what's actually going on in the world, to show them the importance of clean air and clean water is really, really important. So the way that Blue Sky is actually connecting to our school, coming in to our classroom, educating the students, has so many tangible, but the intangible things that we're developing there, we're helping develop young people that are going to help move this world forward and also understand climate change. So Blue Sky they've created internships for some of our students. They're actually helping us, as I said, do the energy package. And by connecting to them, it actually gives my students this bright ray of light, because now you have a professional that's not only talking about solar, but they're actually showing that they care by coming into the classroom and helping to cultivate them and work along with them. So I'm really proud of our connection and our partnership, and I'm so thankful for all of what the team has done. Recently, we just had an Earth Day together where the team came out and really helped move my students forward in our green project that we're doing. So I'm just looking forward to connecting to all of the things that they're doing down the road, and looking forward to our collective battle to fight against climate change all on one team, right? And the mayor just left, but let me just say, just from what you can see about, like Chad, you said something about smart people and leaders coming together to develop other things. By me meeting Ben, it helped my students connect to the mayor who just spoke. We were able to go out and see a solar farm. And now my students are interested and said, wow, I could be a solar installer. I could be a designer. I could be somebody that, you know, I never dreamed of being before. So just that one little connection from Ben and from the movement they're doing is helping a high school move forward, connect to communities, and helping those communities move forward, which can produce, I don't know what it can produce, but we know that it's going to be something great because you're touching so many people. So Blue Sky, may you continue the great work. May we continue to build on what we're doing. And hopefully, HomeGrid can be a place where some of my students can actually train and develop as they get into solar into the future. So thank you so much for everything.
Well, I'll tell you, passion is a key component for a successful business. And I think the last two speakers here have really indicated the type of passion that surrounds this type of initiative. And it makes me even prouder to be part of it. My name's Craig White, and I'm a retired utility executive. Actually, I was the CEO for Philadelphia Gas Works, and I am one of the board mates on Ben's board of 4 people. We have another board member here with us, Jennifer Winnick, and also Rick Morose. And for those of you who don't know any of us, we all have different skill sets, and we believe that we make a good team in our support of Ben Parvey. Now, one of the reasons that I'm here, and I've known Ben for quite a while, we worked with Blue Sky Power as part of Philadelphia Gas Works, and we saw that Ben was not only a good businessman, he's a trained attorney, but he's also, he thinks like an engineer. And quite frankly, he's been very successful. There's a lot of startups that you read about, you see, and they're starting up and they have no experience. We're dealing with a gentleman here that's running an organization that's a proven commodity. And I think that's a really critical component, because if you're going to get a project like this off the ground, you've got to have that experience, that knowledge, that drive, and the right people. And it seems very apparent to me that he's got the right people surrounding him. He's got the right folks that he deals with on an ongoing basis, like George and others like him. And I'd like to see the last 2 minutes of my 5 minutes and get Ben up here. And once again, I just want to reiterate that Ben Parvey is an individual that is developing quite the following as far as his knowledge in this area. I was the chairman of the Philadelphia Energy Action Team, and we were trying to expand our scope beyond just fossil fuels. And we brought Ben Parvey in, and he's been a leader ever since we got him in there. So without any further ado, let me introduce Ben, and really appreciate everything he's doing here. And I'm very proud to be part of this. So thank you.
Thank you, Craig. So thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. And the great joy of guiding Blue Sky Power for the last 14 years has been forming amazing friendships with extraordinary people and passionate innovators, serving customers like Dave and helping him realize his vision to create one of the most sustainable cities in America. Learning to see things differently from our passionate team of innovators and an innovative young creator like Chad. Being inspired by George to help the kids from Youth Build the grid of the future. And of course, having Craig as a mentor and role model for service and for selfless leadership. So while helping some of the country's leading governments, businesses, and institutions realize a clean energy future, we saw a few years ago that the grid was becoming less stable and that our customers were experiencing more frequent power outages and greater duration. Oh, what's going on?
If you sneeze, the power is out.
My bill went from $100 to $600.
10 whole days without power.
Condescending and patronizing.
No live agents or chats.
Prices for electric are ridiculous.
They were rude and dismissive.
They never respond.
Such a complicated process.
The
absolute
Praying
worst.
for a new company.
The worst customer service experience of my
This
life.
company is never prepared.
Their bills made no sense. They act like bullies.
Zero customer service.
They hung up the phone on me.
We're stuck with them.
Everything needs to change.
Our team of passionate innovators immediately went remote on March 13th, 2020, and never missed a beat, except for when the power or internet went out. It was May 2020. Our 4 kids, my pregnant wife, and I haven't gone anywhere in over 2 months with no end in sight. One day, our team was on a Zoom call with a prospective client, a global chemical manufacturer, and halfway through our presentation, the lights flicker. Then the internet starts to freeze, and I see a bunch of still heads staring blankly from their home offices. A big summer storm rolls in, and before the first rumble of thunder, our power goes out yet again. We lost the opportunity with the global client because they were on a deadline. I'm not alone, and this experience is not unique. Since 2008, we have helped schools, universities, manufacturers, and towns realize roughly $300 million of clean energy projects with substantial savings. We have seen them affected by longer and more frequent power outages. Their bills have skyrocketed, and the service they receive from electric utilities is abysmal. It wasn't until working from home that we realized the dramatic impact that power failures have on folks at home. And when we truly stopped to listen, we heard our new customers calling to us, begging us to do something. We read thousands of reviews and posts, and we saw that people are outraged. But don't take our word for it. Their exasperated voices say it all. From the wildfires in California caused by Pacific Gas and Electric, to the Texas power crisis, millions of Americans deal with this regularly, and there has been no real solution offered for the archaic grid and outdated utility model. Bottom line, millions of people are sick of their outdated electric utility and have had no other option until now. Finally, there is an accessible alternative to utility power, OhmGrid by Blue Sky. We applied our experience creating award-winning renewable energy projects and collaborated with experts in our industry to solve this problem with exceptional customer experience. By combining solar, battery storage, and power generators, OhmGrid keeps homes powered up without the need for a utility connection. Currently, homes with solar are required to shut down when the utility goes out. Folks with batteries and backup generators can keep their homes on in an outage, but they still pay utility charges even when they produce all their own power. We took our cues from the utilities in Australia. After the catastrophic bushfires destroyed the electrical infrastructure, electric utilities found that it was cheaper to remove Aussies in rural locations from the grid than rebuild the distribution system. And let's be real, the electric distribution system is based on 140-year-old technology, where substations send power to lines draped on stripped trees, known as utility poles. It's 2022, and the technology that powers our cool stuff is completely archaic and subject to infinite points of failure. OhmGrid is power for modern life. Why now? The stars have aligned, and this is the perfect time for a true alternative to ancient utilities for 4 primary reasons. 1. Home has never meant more. COVID changed the role and importance of the home for everyone. Power outages that disrupt life at home are no longer acceptable when work, school, gym, and daily life are all at home. Losing power is not an option. Second, there's an all-time low public perception of utilities. The Texas power crisis changed everything. Texas, the energy capital of the United States, had announced rolling blackouts on Valentine's Day 2021. The contagion of the failing and archaic grid spread across the country. Over 5 million customers were without power in 13 states. People sleeping in cars, power lines blazing with fireballs. families burning fencing and toys to keep warm. As though the pandemic, riots, murder hornets, and now a polar vortex in Texas were not apocalyptic enough, the power was out on millions of Americans. A family of 8 in East Austin lit burners on their gas stove to keep warm. The dad asked the Wall Street Journal, "Is anyone going to help us? I have a baby in here." I cried when I saw this tweet. 47 hours without electricity, 20 hours without water. We have a 3-week-old baby staying warm under a blanket fort with us and our 3 dogs, hoping we don't suffocate, freeze in our sleep. Wish us well. Hashtag Houston Power Outage. If supercomputers are in our pockets, why the heck are they charged by wires strapped to stripped trees? Third, better power for cheaper. 2 years ago, when bushfires in Australia scorched 27 million acres, instead of rebuilding the archaic power lines, some utilities found it cheaper to take customers off the grid with distributed energy. One Aussie, quoted in a study, said, "I didn't lose any power as I'm 100% off grid. My shed that houses my batteries and solar system all survived, so I was able to come home to a fridge full of cold beer." Until recently, distributed energy technologies were more expensive than utility power. Thanks to commercialization, competition, and large-scale adoption of solar and battery storage in the last 10 years, prices have come down substantially. Fourth, and lastly, is the rapidly rising utility electric prices. In 2021, energy prices soared more than any other commodity. Energy prices tracked in the S&P Goldman Sachs Commodity Index rose 59%. New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut are now all over 20 cents per kilowatt hour, which was unheard of a couple of years ago, except in California and Hawaii. "Everything needs to change," said Michael, a real utility customer. "Michael, we hear you. Everything does need to change. OhmGrid is based on what homeowners want, what customers require for a happy experience with power for their modern lives. Just like everything else, electricity is going wireless. Just as there is no need for copper phone lines and telephone poles anymore, there is no need for millions of miles of power lines strapped to stripped trees and ancient steel structures from the Industrial Revolution. No longer a catchphrase or rising trend, sustainability is important to customers, and the health of our world is not a platitude. The power for an average home releases greenhouse gases that weigh the same as an adult African elephant. OhmGrid customers are not contributing to the problem, but rather are part of the solution. You ever look at an electric bill? Kilowatt hour consumption, KW demand charges, delivery fees, supply charges, societal benefit charges, franchise fees. Almost no consumer knows what all these fees are for. Even the U.S. Air Force Base near us asks us to look at their JCP&L bills because the utility could not explain the charges or rate structure to the U.S. military. OhmGrid customers get a simple, easy, fixed monthly payment with no confusion and no market fluctuations. The 1-minute guarantee. Utility customers are frustrated that they pay for power and utilities do not provide any assurance that their power will stay on. Meanwhile, OhmGrid power is guaranteed. If an OhmGrid customer loses power for even a minute, they get the whole day for free. The OhmGrid batteries are sufficient to keep homes powered up when the sun isn't shining. But we went a step further and added power generators to ensure OhmGrid customers never lose power. With the 1-minute guarantee, monitoring and 24/7 support from friendly, happy, empathetic, real human beings are essential. See, Michael, everything will change. At Blue Sky, we live our core values of excellence, transparency, fortitude, and fun. And our clear purpose, stated by our team daily, is to improve the quality of life for our team, our customers, and their communities. We believe in our purpose so strongly, we made our OhmGrid logo to reflect the inner circle of the team, rippling out to our customers and then to their communities. Since 2008, Blue Sky Power has developed award-winning clean energy projects for leading governments, water utilities, schools, and manufacturers. Now that we have our culture right, our team aligned, and the mission to dramatically improve the lives of our customers, it's time to grow our team from Blue Sky, a boutique energy advisor, to OhmGrid, the electric company of the future. It all starts with team. While it might sound like a successories poster, we wholeheartedly do believe that TEAM stands for Together, Everyone Achieves More. Our team collaboration allowed us to carefully create OhmGrid and stay focused on ensuring that a happy team will make the happiest energy customers ever. We have compiled a group of A players on our team and a board of depth and experience to uphold the highest principles of corporate governance. We will grow the OhmGrid team in keeping with our purpose and core values. Our commitment to our customers shows through as our largest areas of hires are for customer service superstars and E3 construction managers. E3 stands for Exceptional Experience in short. Modern consumers simply want to be educated. That is why our customer service superstars are available to answer questions for our customers and potential customers. We have designed the initial OhmGrid staffing plan to grow to meet our 3-year customer target of 10,000 customers. So how does OhmGrid reach these 10,000 happy energy customers by the end of 2024? By putting on our CAP, or Customer Acquisition Plan. Through our micro-targeted marketing strategy, strategic partnerships, and Built with OhmGrid initiative. By micro-targeted marketing, we'll focus our marketing efforts on towns with the most power outages, the lowest utility satisfaction ratings, and the highest electric rates. From our friends at poweroutages.us in Maine, we purchased 2018 to 2021 data on the frequency and duration of power outages down to the town level, and will target homeowners in those areas. We reach customers in areas with the worst rated utilities by going directly to community groups and sustainability organizations, digital marketing, local radio, podcast interviews and advertising, outdoor advertising in affected areas, and other means to get OhmGrid to our customers. Strategic partnerships are a natural for OhmGrid. Our network of local installers already fields lots of solar requests from homeowners. HOA management companies have a direct line to many neighborhoods impacted by outages. Many insurers offer discounts for homes with generators so they can avoid outage-related claims. Institutional investors like BlackRock are starting to own whole single-family developments for rent, another prime target for OhmGrid. Utility switching services such as MoveEasy.com will offer OhmGrid to customers when they move. And lastly, third-party electric suppliers know that the energy transmission is happening now, and they're looking for alternatives to selling commodity. The nation's second largest supplier has already expressed interest in collaborating with OhmGrid. Lastly, OhmGrid is easiest to integrate on new construction. We talked with builders and developers who told us that getting utility infrastructure can be a roadblock to a planned community. There are many coastal and mountainous areas that utilities cannot or will not serve. The Built with OhmGrid initiative is a strategic program to collaborate with builders and developers to offer OhmGrid in their communities exclusively or as an option for homeowners to have their home built with OhmGrid. By staying laser focused on our CAP, we will get to our first milestone of 10,000 customers and glide toward our 40,000 customer target. OhmGrid is built to generate reliable revenue for our team and investors. There are 4 primary sources of revenue that come into OhmGrid. Meet Jill, a happy OhmGrid customer. Jill is driven to protect her family and the environment, so as a forward thinker, Jill pays the $250 reservation fee. The OhmGrid team designs and installs Jill's OhmGrid, ensuring an exceptional customer experience, with each interaction that has been designed with Jill's happiness in mind. From the construction costs of each system, OhmGrid receives a $700 to $2,000 project management fee that covers the cost of the E3 construction manager during installation. The primary source of recurring revenue for OhmGrid is the monthly payments that Jill makes. Instead of paying the confusing, constantly rising electric bill, Jill now pays a fixed monthly bill to OhmGrid. Since Jill and her family are happy OhmGrid customers, they receive an exceptional customer experience, and Jill will invite her friends to join the OhmGrid community. OhmGrid also realizes ongoing transactional revenue upon long-term asset funding. In 2019, we were sitting in our annual planning meeting with our advisory board, discussing 3-year plans, when one of our advisory board members, a leading global energy expert, said, "You know, JD Power ranks utilities. Why don't you just target customers in the worst rated ones?" That one idea sparked in us a fire that served as a catalytic mechanism. We studied this further and found that of the sectors ranked by JD Power, from telecommunications to automobiles and insurance to healthcare, electric utilities are the absolute worst rated by their customers. In fact, even Comcast consistently ranks higher than most electric utilities. While OhmGrid does not want to be an electric utility in the old world construct, we will be the alternative to the electric utility, and we will beat them in every category measured by JD Power. The Electric Utility Customer Satisfaction Index segments the customer experience into 6 factors: power quality and reliability, price, billing and payment, corporate citizenship, communications, and customer care. So we start with our first milestone of 10,000 customers, which we will achieve in 2024. Once we hit that milestone, we will race toward 40,000 customers. And once we achieve that milestone, we will call JD Power and ask them to put us on the boards. And certainly, our dedication to our customers will earn us an A, well above the current C- best, making OhmGrid the #1 JD Power ranked energy company known for exceptional customer experience, community empowerment, and energy independence. In order to reach those 10,000 customers, we need to grow our team and build out our customer experience platforms. To do this, we need $2,357,000. And given the revenue potential with customers for life, investor returns will be consistent, and OhmGrid customers will be the happiest energy customers ever.
Absolutely the best.
Best choice I've ever made.
Best service ever.
My bill never changes. They care about their customers.
I never have trouble reaching a real person.
I love my OhmGrid.
No more surprise bills.
Respectful and considerate.
Set it and forget it.
Support went above and beyond.
They're always so friendly and helpful.
How did we put up with utilities for so long?
We don't worry about storms anymore.
We never lose power.
We're much closer to being carbon neutral.
Finally, freed from the utility.
Yay, sustainability.
Switching was so easy. Better in every way.
All right, so thank you, each of you here and all the folks online. Thank you for joining us today to learn about the force guiding the electric revolution. Thank you for our amazing OhmGrid board and our teammates for their excellence, fortitude, transparency, and fun, our core values, that make all this possible and makes my days completely joyful. We're now going to do some Q&A. So if you're signing off and you're online and start your weekend, please reach out to us and spread the gospel that our team is welcoming passionate innovators, customers, and investors as we grow the OhmGrid community. So thank you and have a wonderful weekend. And if you want to stick around for some Q&A, you can put them in the chat or raise your hand and we'll answer those questions online or for anyone here. Got questions? Anyone have questions here?
One chat here.
All right, go ahead. Yeah, we'll take this one right.
So you said even 1 minute of power loss will give the entire day free. So in an area like southern Fairfield, Philly, we get a lot of snow. So how long is the battery supposed to last and how long does the generator last? And if we get ice and snow on the panel, how long would it take to get that clear and up and running?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, the question for anyone joining is, how do we deal with snow and how long do batteries last and the integration of the battery and the generator? So, for all the, school district and wholesale projects and large projects we have, from the experience, typically the panels stay pretty warm and snow generally melts and slides off of panels, and panels are usually at an angle, so the snow slides off. So usually snow doesn't cover panels for any more than a day, and the panel and the batteries, with this, we're not just doing solar and one battery, we're oversizing systems and then providing for multiple batteries. So generally, when you're dealing with a complete, no power at all, you have, over 24 hours of solar or battery to operate without any solar charge. And then when you have solar coordinated with the battery, you can continue to operate. But as a fail-safe, we also have the generators. So you can have natural gas, propane, or diesel generators. And typically we want to use natural gas because you have an ongoing supply of natural gas that really can power the house on an ongoing basis. But, really you wouldn't be out of power at all with the system, but the generator might be running for a couple hours. Thanks.
So chat, where are you rolling this out to?
Oh, great question. So the question from the chat was where are we rolling this out to? So initially we're focusing on areas of New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Delaware, and Maryland. And that's primarily based on the price of energy in those states. I think you heard in the presentation that the price of energy in New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut is now at an average of 19.5, almost 20 cents in each of those states. So it makes a whole lot of sense because we can offer OhmGrid at a price that's competitive or less than the utilities. And then Maryland and Delaware pricing is now over 15 cents a kilowatt hour for most residential customers. And they also have good incentives in each of those states.
Another chat, do I have to be a homeowner?
The question is, do you have to be a homeowner to be an OhmGrid customer? And the short answer is yes, unless you rent a house that you're really good friends with the landlord. Because to put that on the home, you need permission of the homeowner. So typically we're not going to be doing it for leased and rented properties initially, which is actually a decent segue into questions about multifamily and apartments, townhouses. So in the initial configuration, we're working on solar, battery storage, and power generators. However, we've done a ton of senior living, collegiate housing, and multifamily for larger scale cogeneration and solar. And on those, we're able to take people off of multifamily using fuel cells as well as micro CHP. So initially we're rolling out the configuration of solar, battery storage, and power generator. But as we move on and our advisory board and our engineers evaluate different technology, we'll roll out using hydrogen fuel cells as well as, as well as micro CHP in coordination with solar and battery storage. That way we can serve multifamily.
We've got a few here. Thank you. What equipment is required for a basic single family home?
Yeah. So what equipment is required for basic single family home? And that is basic equipment is solar panels, battery storage, meaning batteries that, excuse me. Batteries don't take up a lot of space. They can go in your garage or in a basement. Generally can be adhered to a wall take up about 4 feet by 2 feet, and then the power generator, which needs to be installed outside. So on a small pad, you're able to put, and that's about 4 feet by 2 feet high, and then also about 2.5 feet wide.
So Craig,
So yeah, that's the basic equipment that we use for an OhmGrid. And in case it wasn't abundantly clear through the presentation, you know, the whole model is that we finance and operate all this equipment, so the homeowner doesn't have to. So no homeowner is going to put out any money out of pocket to finance the system. They'll pay the reservation fee and then just pay their ongoing monthly bill.
okay, we have a question here from Craig. What is the lifetime of the equipment? How often does hardware need to be updated or upgraded?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the lifetime of the equipment. So solar panels generally have a life expectancy, estimated useful life of about 30 years. They're warranted for 25 years from most of the manufacturers. And then the batteries are typically warranted for 15 years with an estimated life of 15 to 20 years. So we would imagine that we'll be rolling out additional upgrades to equipment somewhere in the 10 to 15 year window. And then the nice thing about that is that equipment that we may upgrade for existing homeowners, we can then use in other places. So a lot of people talk about equity and renewable energy and not being able to serve low-income communities. And we think that OhmGrid is not something that's strictly for people who have a lot more money to pay for it. Instead, we want OhmGrid to be accessible to all. So we've always made it that we want to repurpose equipment and refresh equipment regularly and use equipment to provide for people who wouldn't otherwise necessarily be able to afford it.
Ben,
Sure.
I'm not sure, could you explain to me, so every house has its individual equipment set up, and does every house have the opportunity, or is there a need for a house to communicate from house to house, or is it strictly like individual?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the question was, does each house have strictly their own system where they can communicate or work with other houses? And so it's strictly going to be operated on one house, not linked to other houses, primarily for the reason, you know, a lot of people are working on virtual power plants where they have perhaps solar and battery storage to act as grid support, but then, you know, you're connected and there's greater opportunity for failure and interference by cyber attack. So we think that that's not a great solution for energy independence. Julia.
So when I put this in my home and I go to sell my house, does the buyer have to inherit this grid, or do they have like optionality?
Yeah, so for those online, the question is, does it go with a homeowner if they sell their house and go to the new homeowner, and would the new homeowner have the option to get out of it? So we want people to be able to cancel at any time. However, you know, they pay for removal of equipment and cancellation fees. But if they sell their house, I guess there are a couple points on that. First, a number of studies have shown that homes have a higher resale value that have solar. An additional part of that is most of the homeowners, insurance providers, provide a discount for homes with generators because there are fewer loss claims when outages occur. So when you combine together those two facts, it's better for a homeowner to sell a house with complete energy independence with solar, battery storage, and power generator with OhmGrid. And so typically it'll help the resale values. But to answer your question, if someone sells the house, the new homeowner could say that they don't want it, in which case they could cancel it and reconnect to the grid.
I have a follow-up question.
Yeah.
Does every house have the option of doing a OhmGrid, or does it have to do with how the sun hits your, for instance, in Philly, if you do it on row homes, is that no space? Is there any limitations?
Yeah, so that's a great question. The question is, you know, can you do it on any home, or are we limited by space, you know, row homes or townhouses in urban areas? So for right now, like I said, relating to technology, we're using solar, battery storage, and power generators. So we are going to be limited on houses that have enough space and are able to do to fit the amount of solar necessary to offset their load as well as charge the batteries. So initially, we're not going to be doing row homes or places that don't have enough power or enough space to be able to fit the equipment. However, I discussed alternative technology when we were talking about configuration. And when we are able to start doing, which we will, we just want to roll out, keep it simple initially. But as we roll out hydrogen fuel cells and micro CHP, that can go anywhere in an urban area, that's space constrained. So yeah, we do anticipate OhmGrid being available, for most residential and commercial. I mean, right now we're talking residential because, Blue Sky has always done commercial, industrial, governmental, and institutional projects. And the only residential we've done has been, multifamily and collegiate housing and senior living. But it's our plan to be able to roll this out to commercial and industrial as well. We're going directly to consumers because consumers can actually make a decision, as opposed to our governmental and institutional clients that take years and years to make a decision. And, we don't have to deal with boards and executives who aren't sure whether to do this. Consumers can make the decision whether they want to do this or not. So we're really excited about the prospect of being able to go directly to consumers. And actually, we call them customers as opposed to utilities call them ratepayers. So we're glad to be going out to customers. Online?
We do. I have a two-part question here. The first part is about what the anticipated timing is from reservation to up and running. And then the second part of that is how long does the installation itself take?
Yeah, great question. So the question is how long from reservation till installation? And so it's going to be a few months from the time you place your reservation till installation for a couple reasons. One is just based on the timing and delay of equipment right now. It's supply chain shortages, which actually, for the business model work to our benefit right now, because with the first group, we're setting up the finance structure to be able to fund the first round of projects. So in 2022, that'd be about 15 million and goes up to about 130 million in 2023. And so with the first batch anyway, we would be taking a few months to close on the financing for the first round of projects. And we got to wait for equipment anyway. I'd imagine we close on the first round of financing while we're still waiting for equipment to come in. As far as the duration of installation, residential installation only takes 1 to 3 days. So as opposed to the 3 to 6 months of our other projects for commercial, industrial, and governmental, residential projects can usually get banged out by a crew of 3 to 4 in 1 to 3 days.
What impact, if any, do the solar panels have on existing roofs?
Yeah. So the question is what impact does the solar panels have on existing roofs? So solar panels have been installed with racking systems that protect the roofs and have for a long time. So, solar installations on rooftops are not a new thing. However, as we know from working with school districts that, spend millions of dollars on their roofs, they take them very seriously. And so when you do an installation on a rooftop, as opposed to a ground mount or a carport canopy, you've got to make sure that you protect the integrity of the roof and that there are no leaks. So typically you work with a roofer that does sealing around any penetration so that there can't be any infiltration of water. And obviously, if there is any, we'd handle that immediately, just like if there's any issue with any of the equipment, we'll take care of it immediately.
The last question that we have is, it's kind of related to existing equipment. So your HVAC system, if it's outdated or aged, as well as your roof, or what's kind of what's the solution there?
Yeah. So the question's about existing equipment, existing HVAC, and your existing infrastructure at your home, or existing roofs that may be outdated. So we want to power efficient homes. So it's certainly our mission to make sure that not only we install your own grid, but we're installing it with efficient equipment. So if you have a 20 or 30-year-old air conditioner, you're undoubtedly paying money not only on your electric bills, but you're also paying people to come out and service it. I mean, I've lived in homes that had old air conditioning and heaters, and I mean, it's a pain when it's really hot or really cold and you're out and you got to call someone to come fix it. So we want to work with homeowners to make sure that they have upgraded equipment, because we want to power efficient homes, because you don't have to pay as much to power an efficient home. So we want to help people get more efficient equipment, from LEDs to building home automation and upgraded infrastructure. Also, geothermal is a really great route to go to flatten out the load curve. So you have a pretty steady electric load curve from winter through summer. So that's certainly a priority. And on roofing, we'll have our roofers create an estimate and we can finance the replacement or repair of an outdated roof. Julia.
This might be variable. Can you explain how you have a flat rate model? Is that based on like the first couple of months to see how much? Because I might have an electric, furnace, electric hot water tank, all kinds of crazy stuff in my house. Some other guy might have everything gas and barely use electric. How do you help flat rate?
Yeah, that's great. So it's flat rate for that particular customer. So not just a flat rate of. So we've broken it down by most of our models by homes that are 1,000 to 2,000 square feet, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, and 4 and above. But there's not a flat rate structure based on every single home. It's a flat rate structure for each customer. So if we size it at your house, we may end up sizing it. Let's say your current electric bill averages throughout the year $300 a month. Where it's $150 in April, but it's $500, $600 in August. We'll have a flat rate of $300 for the year, just by way of example. But someone else may have an average bill of $250 or so. We'll try to keep that similar to their bill. And then on the variability of the equipment and their load, everyone has a different load. So we have to size the system based for the specific house. George, you had a question?
I was simply going to ask about how could you buy stock or make donations?
Yeah. George wanted to know how you can buy stock or make donations. So yeah, you can just follow up with us after. That's part of the reason we're all here is to tell people about what we're doing and get people involved and to be able to buy into and invest in OhmGrid, as well as letting people know we're growing our team rapidly. So our priorities really are getting the word out. So you let people know about the positions we're hiring for, to tell customers to sign up, as well as to let potential interested parties know that they can invest in OhmGrid. And starting in the next week or so, we'll be able to take investment. So yeah, if you have interest, let us know. That's it? No other online questions? All right, so we're about to wrap up. So if you do have any other questions, online, go ahead and ask them. If you're here, any other questions? All right, so this is unfortunate for those of you who aren't here in person, but we're at Dave & Buster's and there's a lot of good food and drinks and a bunch of games to play. So we're gonna have a lot of fun and start our weekend off right. Any other questions online?
We actually did just get one.
All right, you snuck it in. Hopefully it's good.
All
right.
It's a pretty easy one. If you have a detached garage, could you install the panels there instead of on your house?
Yeah, yes, and yes. So the question was, if you have a detached garage, can you put panels there? Yeah, actually, one of our first OhmGrid customers, Kevin Bucciaroni's here. Kevin is building a new barn in the back of his property, and it's perfect. And he worked with them knowing that he wanted to do OhmGrid. He worked with the manufacturer on the specifications, telling them he wanted to install solar. So I think it's about a 20 by 36 building roughly. And we're able to put, no, what's that? We're good? We're good. Okay, I'm close, 20 by 36 or something like that. Anyway, we're able to put solar completely on that building and not even on his house because we're able to produce enough by that roof and it's flatter than his home roof and it's great. So yeah, detached garages, attached garages, sheds. One thing too is with OhmGrid, we got to make sure that we produce enough power to charge batteries and keep people powered up, at night and through cloudy days and rainy days. And so we're going to oversize systems enough to make sure we're able to do that. One great way to do that too is we're dealing with a luxury home builder in New York who's done all kinds of covered pergolas and things. And he showed us some of the things he's done. I mean, to do an overhang off, over someone's deck so that they have covered space only costs a couple $1,000s, and we're able to put panel and expand the size of the system over what we could do on the roof. So it's actually sort of an interesting way to both add value and additional outdoor space for people and also create additional space for energy. Is that the last one? All right, that's a good one. We like the covered pergolas. All right. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thanks everyone for being online and for spending time with us today, and have a wonderful weekend. Thank you guys.